come marching through that door. I hope you get what you want, and you want what you're wishing for. I hope you get what you want, and you want what you're wishing for. And when you get what you want, thank your lucky star. Wealth and happiness too. So this birthday boogie is just for you. Now that you're surrounded with the things you adore, I'll holler happy birthday just once more. Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Environmental Coffee House, and happy birthday, Jen, because yours was on the 9th and mine is on the 15th. Welcome, everybody, to our yearly birthday show together. And how many birthdays have we celebrated together, Jennifer?
Quite a few now.
Yeah,
I think about 7 or 8.
Yep. And did you ever think we'd be going into this, sliding out into the horizon with what's going on in our country? No, me neither. Not like this. But we're here, and at least we're still able to do this. Who knows? It might be our last birthday show. You never know with all the craziness going on in the United States. But everybody, we're here. So I'm just going to quickly say hi, Loie and Saddle Tramp and Bella and TR, Trish Kaiser, Ernie's Cabin, everybody that's with us, Lone Wanderer Dog Dude, John Schmidt, Kim Centeno, and Looney. Thank you so much for moderating. So we've got a busy show tonight, and we also have a memorial tribute to a friend of ours that we're going to talk about, but we're going to do that a little bit later. So, Jen, welcome. What's been up?
Hey, it is great to see you, and I'm so excited about our show tonight. How about I give us a little rundown of where we're going to go?
How about you do that? Good? How about you do that?
All right.
Okay.
So we are going to start with a pivotal article from the New York Times about NOAA research programs to be dismantled. White House plan calls for NOAA research programs to be dismantled. Unbelievable. We'll talk about that. Another one from the New York Times, another thing with data. Farmers sue over deletion of climate data from government websites. You might see a trend here, right?
Yes.
Right. And then we've got one from phys.org. Arctic sea ice loss drives drier weather over California and wetter Iberian winters, modeling study shows. So we're going to see what this big loss of the Arctic sea ice, what the repercussions are on that. And then we're going to dive into, of course, a bunch of graphs, all pretty much to do with the Arctic.
Graphs.
We're going to go through the Arctic temperatures series from Zach Labe. And we're also going to go through the Arctic sea ice concentration and extent series, also from Zach Labe.
All right.
And then we'll dive into climate.gov 2025 winter maximum sea ice extent in the Arctic is the smallest on record. I kid you not. This is significant.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we might take a look at the series. Is that how you say it? CIRES?
Yeah, serious. Mm-hmm.
Cooperative Institute for Research in Environmental Sciences at the University of Colorado in Boulder.
Boulder, which is everybody's worried in Boulder,
It's
and
true.
yeah, I was on some online with something. Someone from Boulder came on and made a comment that it's all over in Boulder. You know that
Oh, yeah.
everybody's nervous, and you live there. And listen,
Oh, yeah.
just now in University of where I used to work, they're revoking visas of students from other countries. It's pretty gross. I mean, who could be happy with any of this shit? So it's just
I know.
crazy. But we are going to do the show. We have interesting things, and I guess we'll get started. But it's just nice to have you with me on a Friday night, Jen. It makes me so happy.
I'm so happy to be back.
So
It's so good to see
happy.
you and to see
Yes, it
everybody.
is. Yes, it is. So we're gonna go to the screen. That's the intermission. I already screwed up. All right. Well, we're going to start with this. The Jen, why don't you take off on this?
Okay.
You can see
Okay.
it, right? The new one.
Yeah,
All right. And of
absolutely.
course, I'm
White
not
House.
doing the New York Times, so I don't know if I touch it,
No,
it'll go
I can do
away.
all the New York Times ones actually
Yeah,
because
I
my
got it.
dad gave me a subscription, so I
Okay.
have a.
All right. Well, I
I don't
have
have
it.
a paywall.
I'm just okay. Good. I just
Yeah.
want you to take off with it.
Okay. Okay,
Shit.
guys, let's go. So, White House plan calls for NOAA research programs to be dismantled. Trump administration budget proposal would essentially eliminate one of the world's foremost earth sciences research operations. Just let that sink in. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, did you ever think you'd live to hear
No,
that? No.
no. Mm-mm.
Trump administration officials are recommending the elimination of the Scientific Research Division at the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, according to internal documents obtained by the New York Times and several people with knowledge of the situation. The proposal from the Office of Management and Budget would abolish the Oceanographic and Atmospheric Research Office at NOAA, one of the world's premier earth sciences research centers. A budget allocation of just over $170 million, down from $485 million in 2024, would hobble science as varied as early warning systems for natural disasters, science education for students in kindergarten through high school, and the study of the Arctic, where temperatures have increased nearly 4 times as fast as the rest of the planet over the past 4 decades,
Damn.
right?
Damn.
At this funding level, OAR is eliminated as a line office, the proposal states. Programs that retained funding, including research into tornado warnings and ocean acidification, would be relocated to the National Weather Service and the National Ocean Service offices. The outline for the 2026 budget passback, which would need to be approved by Congress, suggests significant reductions to education, grants, research, and climate related programs within NOAA, and comes after the dismantling of other agencies like the National Institute of Health and the United States Agency for International Development, more about that later, and the removal of mentions of climate change from federal websites. Can we say Orwellian?
Yeah.
Under the proposal, the total budget for the Commerce Department would be nearly $7.7 billion, a reduction of more than $2.5 billion from 2025 levels.
Insane.
According to the document, the budget would refocus on activities more in line with the Trump administration's agenda, including enforcing trade laws and collecting scientific observations like ocean and weather data to support forecasting. This administration's hostility toward research and rejection of climate science will have the consequence of eviscerating the weather forecasting capabilities that this plan claims to preserve. Representative Zoe Lofgren, the senior Democrat on the House Sciences Committee, said in an emailed statement. NOAA, which makes up more than half of the Commerce Department budget, would receive just over $4.4 billion, a reduction of $1.6 billion from 2025.
Unreal.
It's not surprising, but it's very disturbing, said Rick Spinnard, who led NOAA under President Joseph R. Biden Jr. That includes reducing the budget for the National Marine Fisheries Service by 1/3. The office would be split from NOAA and moved to the Interior Department's U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Grants that fund species recovery and habitat conservation would be eliminated. Funding for the National Oceanographic Service, a branch of NOAA, would be cut in half. Programs like the National Centers for Coastal Ocean Science, an office within the Ocean Service that studies corals, pollution, and the effects of climate change and sea level rise on coastal communities,
like Florida,
would not be funded. Would not be funded.
Yeah,
no, don't look.
Florida.
Don't look at this.
Don't look up.
Oh my
No,
God.
don't look up.
Okay. The National Centers for Environmental Information.
You got the vapors, baby.
What?
The vapors. 1920s. Oh. You got the vapors.
Yeah. The National Centers for Environmental Information, which achieve climate data, which archives climate data, would lose a quarter of its funding. So they don't even want to keep the data. They're throwing away the data.
That's insane. Somebody's got to take it all.
They're throwing away the data.
Yeah.
The proposal would also alter NOAA's satellite and space programs. It would gut the Office of Space Commerce and relocate Space Weather Prediction Center to the Department of Homeland Security.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. A program called the Traffic Coordination System for Space that was set to take over the monitoring of satellite traffic from the Department of Defense, a kind of traffic police for outer space, would also lose funding. The passback suggests having such work done by the private sector. Oh, who has rockets? Do you know anybody?
Is his name Leon? Is it Leon? Leon, I think.
Leon Tusk?
Leon Tusk. Leon Tusk. Is that
Leon
his name?
Tusk? Something like that name.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Leon.
Bastard. The satellite program that provides data for weather forecasting and modeling would also be downsized. The long-standing relationship that helps NOAA acquire satellites through NASA would also be terminated. Dr. Spinnard said the likelihood that this budget, as proposed by the White House, would pass Congress was low. Quote, I don't think it will withstand congressional scrutiny. The passback is part of balancing the federal budget, according to the document, which includes eliminating the federal government's support of woke ideology.
They're fucked. Oh, they really are. They're lunatics. They're lunatics run by.
They're so scared.
Yeah.
The passback is part of balancing the federal budget, according to the document, which includes eliminating the federal government's support of woke ideology. It actually says that.
That's pretty sick.
Project 2025, a document that has been used as a blueprint for an overhaul of the federal government under Trump administration, included a goal to break up NOAA and downsize its research arm. Quote, it begs the question, is the Trump administration intentionally breaking our weather forecasting capabilities as an excuse to carry out the dangerous Project 2025 proposal to privatize the Weather Service? Ms. Lofgren said in a statement. Project 2025, which was published by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative policy research organization, called NOAA research the source of much of NOAA's climate alarmism. And
sick.
said the preponderance of its climate change research should be disbanded. It would take the U.S. back to the 1950s in technical and scientific skill, said Craig McLean, chief scientist at NOAA under both first Trump presidency and President Biden, of the proposed budget. The agency has until noon on April 15th to appeal the proposal, and it has until April 24th to submit plans for many of the overhauls the passback suggests, even before the proposal has been addressed by Congress. On Thursday, probationary government employees who had been fired in February and then reinstated by a judge received an email from the Department of Commerce firing them again after the decision was reversed by a higher court. Just unbelievable.
Insane.
A so-called reduction in force plan could slash an additional 20% of its workforce in the coming weeks. That's the end. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. And so Nature then says they did a poll. And this was at the end of March, probably a lot of people know, but 75% of U.S. scientists who answered the Nature poll, 1,600 readers answered the poll looking for jobs in Europe and Canada. So we're just going to have to rely on getting most of our information from the European models, Canadian science is going to take off. It's going to blow up in Canada. It's going to blow up. And hopefully, though, that Americans are not going to take jobs from Canadian scientists. Everything's going to have to change. It's going to change. And Jennifer, when you read that, doesn't it give you when I said you had the vapors, from the 20s when women would go, oh, and they wanted to faint. That's how I felt like.
It's like breaking at the core of our reality. I mean, it's just
Can you imagine?
Absolutely unbelievable.
So long
They just
farewell.
want to blind us because the climate situation is so bad that they really want to blind us. They don't even want the language. They want people to be brainwashed. And the best way is to cut off the data. No data. Yeah.
Oops, wait a minute. I got to get something back in. Sorry, guys. I just kind of screwed up the eCam. 1 second. So keep talking while
I can't hear you.
Okay, we're back. I don't know.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I don't know exactly what happened. It was a really weird glitch. Maybe we're talking about things that somebody doesn't like.
I think the AI bots are on us and we were disconnected.
That's scary.
They're doing shit like that.
That's scary.
They know everything.
Oh my God. It crashed
I
for
know.
just a minute, though. It wasn't too long. All right. So we're talking about the scientists, and we're talking about that they're leaving and they're going to other places. And it says the trend was particularly pronounced among early career researchers. So can you imagine going to school like Zach Labe and you get your PhD like Nicholas and you want a job? Nicholas Humphrey, who came on the show, and you're talking about, okay, he wanted to work in FEMA or NOAA or any of them, and now it is just a broken dream, and they spend all their money on student loans to be climate scientists, and, they're looking to move to countries where they already had collaborators. friends or family, and familiarity with the language anywhere that supports science. So this is a pretty serious thing. When all of our scientists and researchers, we're going to have, what's going to be left, Jennifer? What do you think that the landscape of this country is going to be?
Already it's unbelievable. Already I never saw the dissolution of things that I thought were part of our life in the United States, including, and I just have to get a plug in here for the United States Agency for International Development, because I am a product of that particular organization as I grew up overseas, and my dad worked for USAID as a humanitarian and a diplomat for 30 years. And because of that, I grew up in Southeast Asia and West Africa.
Wow.
In war and Paris, and in war-torn countries, and capitals of the world.
And so you see this, and there's people that are already being deported from programs like yours already, and it's craziness. White Christian nationalism is evil. It's evil. Well, let's move on to the farmers.
Oh, you can see it. You don't have a paywall there.
Nope. All right. So then we're going to talk about the data. You want to tag team it?
Whatever you want, Sandy. Why don't you get started?
Okay.
And then we'll see how it feels.
This was from February, but it's a very important article, and it's probably worse now. Organic farmers and environmental groups sued the Agricultural Department on Monday over its scrubbing of references to climate change from its website. The department had ordered staff to take down pages focused on climate change on January 30th. It was that fast, according to the suit, which was filed in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York, my state. And within hours, it said information started disappearing. That included websites containing data sets, interactive tools, and funding information that farmers and researchers relied on for planning and adaptation projects, according to the lawsuit. At the same time, the department also froze funding that had been promised to businesses and nonprofits through conservation and climate programs. The purge then removed critical information about these programs from the public record, denying farmers access to resources they need to advocate for the funds they are owed, it said. So the Agricultural Department referred questions about the lawsuit to the Justice Department, which is crooked as fuck. Oh, sorry, that wasn't in the New York Times, which did not immediately respond to a request for comment because they have their DEI Barbie, Pam Bondi. The suit was filed by lawyers from Earth Justice, based in San Francisco, and Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University, which is now in a lot of trouble, Columbia. This was before all that, all the grants were taken, and now the orange turd Republican administration wants to, actually, they really want to take over Columbia. That's what they're looking to do. So the latter two groups relied on the department website for their research and advocacy, which is the Natural Resources Defense Council. That's a big company, a big organization. Organic Farming Association of New York. So I'm going to look into this more and see if I know anybody in that. Peter Lerner, a lawyer for Earth Justice, said the pages being purged were crucial for farmers facing risks linked to climate change, including heat waves, droughts, floods, extreme weather, and wildfires. The websites had contained information about how to mitigate dangers and adopt new agricultural techniques and strategies. So long-term weather data and trends are valuable in the agriculture industry for planning and research and business strategy. You can purge a website of words, the words climate change, but that doesn't mean climate change just goes away, Mr. Lerner said. The sites under the department's umbrella include those of the Forest Service, which is responsible for the stewardship of forests and grasslands, the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which helps landowners implement conservation practices, and those of other divisions focused on farms and ranches, disaster recovery, and rural development. The directive to delete the pages came from Peter Hree, the department's director of digital communications, according to the lawsuit. The plaintiffs allege the actions violated 3 federal laws and were arbitrary, capricious, and an abuse of discretion, or otherwise not in accordance with the law. They asked the court to compel the agency to restore the pages and block it from deleting any others. Wes Gillingham, president of the board of Northeast Organic Farming Association of New York, said that the farmers were just heading into planning for the summer growing season. He said taking information down because of a political agenda about climate change was senseless. Look at the Icelandic sheep.
They're so cute.
Oh, he's in Livingston Manor. That's downstate. It's in the Catskills. For 30 years, and he raises Icelandic sheep there. He previously had grown vegetables for a community-supported agriculture program, but stopped 20 years ago when his operation was wiped out by 3 massive floods, and I remember those floods, in a 5-year period. I remember the last, pretty bad. Mr. Gillingham said his organization is the largest organic certifier in New York State, which is a major hub for small farms. They often send farmers to the agricultural department website for information on things like conservation programs and which agricultural practices qualify for grants and loans. They also direct people to resources like equipment lending. So right now, because of climate change and because of what farmers are facing in terms of extreme weather events, we need every piece of available information we can get. We don't have access to that. We are not going to make it. So Jennifer, I live in New York. I live in a rural farming community of people that supported the orange Republican turd, okay? And the issue here is that a lot of people don't even understand this. Wait till the farmers need the information here, and it's probably happening now.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. This is just unbelievable. Yet again, just deleting information. That is as fascist as it gets.
I mean, they're crazy because the Heritage Foundation and the evangelical Christian right doesn't believe in it. So that's where we're going to now play. Because of all this, we're going to play the little song that I started that came on that I think screwed everything up. So hang on. We're going to play this.
Well, I love my mama and my daddy. I love my wife and my son. I love picking this old guitar, but I fucking hate Donald Trump. I love going out honky-tonkin'. I love getting my buddies drunk. I love standing up for my country, but I fucking hate Donald Trump. In all my years I've never carried hate in my heart. I believe in love and let live, but watching Mango Mussolini tear my country apart takes up all the fucks I have to give. But I love my mama and my daddy. I love my wife and my son. I love picking on this old guitar, but I fucking hate Donald Trump. Yeah, I love the U.S. Constitution, but I fucking hate Donald Trump.
We don't particularly like that guy. Not really. Nope. But I thought that was a good good move on, since we were talking about farmers and rural areas. But now we are going to move on, and we have a tribute here. And we're going to do a tribute to a gal named Deb Ozarko. Deb's life came to an end in February of this year. Deb has been she's an author. She wrote two books. She's been on all of our channels. What do you have to say about Deb? Because you knew her maybe better than I did.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I first met Deb probably about 2015 or 16 at maybe early 2016, there used to be a little channel called Extinction Radio, and we had her on there a couple of times. And Deb and I became very close, and she is such a spirit. I mean, look at that picture of her. She's just a blossom of light. So, almost on another level, but very sensitive, and possibly, maybe too sensitive for this world. This extinction experience that we are all engaged in hit her very, very hard. And there we go. We had very nice interview with her, and thanks for bringing that up, Sandy. But she's just an amazing soul, just exuberant, an athlete, a very avid vegan, I believe, as well.
I think she was.
Yeah,
we really enjoyed it.
A very, amazing, creative person that was, for a while, a public face, to put a public face on this crisis, this meta crisis that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, it's very sad. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to play a tribute video. Would you guys like to see that? I think you would. Hang on. We're going to get that video. This time I'm going to do it right. We're not going to get screwed up.
The emotional floodgates opened, and surrender became the only option. And when I did, I had no idea how much freedom was waiting there all along. In this freedom, I found so much life, so much love, so much passion, and the space was freed for my soul's purpose to really shine through. I learned that the quickest way out of the darkness was to dive right into it. I journeyed inward. I healed myself, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. What awakening to me means really is just waking up to the very essence and the soul of who I am, with no attachment to any kind of outcome. And this has been a really interesting paradigm shift for me, because it forced me to really look at the way I've lived my life, all of my life. And I have realized now that all of my life has been lived with a future orientation. So, all these spiritual traditions speak about being present. As you know, I mean, from a scientific perspective, we've reached so many tipping points, and there are so many feedback loops that are playing out, not to mention, of course, all of the social unrest that is being aggravated and accelerated with what's going on in the world. That our future is winding down very quickly. And as I've been processing this over the last year, I'm realizing more and more with the internal guidance that I'm getting that at least my timeline, and it's not based on science. Science is certainly supporting it, but my internal timeline is very short. And what I'm seeing is this massive degradation in consciousness, certainly in my own lifetime. Now, I was born in 1963. At that time, there were 3.2 billion people on the planet, and already there were problems. I mean, I knew. I grew up knowing. I was one of those really tuned in kids who could feel what was going on, but also who could see what was going on. And since that time, population has exploded to 7.5 million, and nothing has changed. Consciousness hasn't changed, and so now we see more consumption, we see more degradation, we see more selfishness, more entitlement, more of everything that's really ugly about the human. Well, I'm not going to say the human condition. It's about the conditioned human. I look at everything from a systems perspective too, and how all of the systems that we live in have conditioned us to be everything that we're not.
If it turns out to be Mad Max, I don't want to be around for that. And I'm certainly not going to be one of these people who languishes for an existence and just ekes out my living moment by moment based on total fear. Like, that to me is not, like, survival is not living. I'm here to live. And as soon as my ability to live and thrive and love and just be the person that I really want to be in this world is compromised to the point where I'm just like in a state of survival, I'm going to rethink my existence here.
I've been paying closer to attention to my inner guidance and not negating it, even though the timeline is very short. And it's bringing up a lot of really interesting thought that is in many ways it's very surreal, because like I said, I didn't know that I was living in such a future oriented timeline. And this realization of living in the present with a future orientation has inspired a question within me, and that is, what does it look like to live with meaning? There's a massive conscious awakening, but I feel like it's an awakening to the dark side of what we have allowed ourselves to become. And I feel like this is kind of like, again, like a necessary and key part to end this story once and for all. And what does it look like to live with meaning without a future orientation? My belief is that, and this is all based on just intuitive, an intuitive knowing. My belief is that this global swing to the far right, this white male supremacy, this patriarchal overload, is kind of like a necessary climax to a really ugly story that has hurt us as a species, hurt so many other species, and has destroyed the planet. So for those of us who cannot stand the way this earth is just being pillaged, maybe it's a good thing. You know, maybe we'll just see a quicker end. I don't know. So I have a lot of thoughts about what's playing out, but basically I see that this is necessary for the completion of this ugly, ugly story that we have created as a species. And I think that we all better prepare ourselves for, well, I don't know. Well, I don't even know. It's so uncertain what's going to be playing out, but I think it's going to be unpleasant. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be violent. It's going to be divisive. And if we're not already seeing the ugly part of humanity, we're going to see a whole lot more. And
today is Francis's birthday. Now, every day is a party for him. He's a great teacher to remind me and everybody that every day is a party because it's worth celebrating. Why? Because we're all alive. Isn't that good enough?
Incredibly profound.
Yeah. I found out a couple of weeks ago, and it was tough. And Sam Mitchell, Collapse Chronicles, did a piece on his channel, but I wanted to wait till I was with you to do it. And I had made that video in 2020 as it was for our show. And what I did, it was actually a preview, and I had published it first to get people very interested in having Deb on. And I just found the show, and it's on our channel, our interview, but there's many. And she's got the 2 books, and she was somebody that was very important in our sphere. And she will be missed. We didn't talk to her. She was in Ottawa. We didn't talk to her for a while. The pandemic changed a lot of people. It made people feel different and think different about the world. But I do believe that she was a very sensitive person, and I'm not going to speculate. It's not my place to speculate on what happened, okay? It really isn't. But if you feel that you are out there feeling that you can't handle things, there's a lot. That's why I bring on Jordan and Karen Perry. That's why we have Carolyn. That's why we have Jennifer. We have people that can help so we don't feel so alone at this time. And then, of course, if ever in the United States, if you ever felt like you needed someone, there's always crisis management services and a 911, I think not 911, 211. I'm not sure what it is, but please, if you ever feel that you're so sad and you need help, get it. Please get it. Okay? Jennifer, is there anything you want to add?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's touching because we've known many people who've passed over the years. We've
Joey
seen them
Casey.
pass. I've just been thinking about all the people I've known
Yeah.
personally, not only in the Doomer community, who've passed over the several years, and it just makes life that much more bittersweet because it's so profound. And she especially was such a sweet soul. So this exuberance was just like oozing out of her. You just felt lifted and buoyed up in her presence, because even though we were talking about, the crumbling of everything we know, underneath there was such a joy to her spirit, and it made it much easier to talk about it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she's just such an amazing spirit, and I'm so sorry to see her go. But and
I'm
rest in
sure
peace.
she was in the LGBTQ community, which is probably
Right.
feeling a big loss of her since February in Ottawa. I'm not sure who she, associated with, but I mean, she was definitely in a community of people that probably loved her very, very much.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right. Well,
Oh, well,
yeah.
Sandy.
Now it's
Shall
time to move on to the Arctic.
Shall we move on? Okay, guys, this is from phys.org. Arctic sea ice loss drives drier weather over California and wetter Iberian winters, modeling study shows. A study led by researchers from the Barcelona Institute for Global Health, IS Global, has used a novel approach to unravel the influence of the loss of the Arctic sea ice on the planet's climate, isolating it from other factors related to climate change. The study, published in the journal Communications, Earth and Environment, showed that on a decadal timescale, the loss of Arctic ice favors the climate of the southwest of the United States and California in particular, becoming drier on the average, especially in winter. This phenomena would also affect the climate of Spain and Portugal, favoring conditions of higher humidity in winter, although in this case, the observed effect is weaker. And didn't Spain just recently have just massive floods again,
Yes, they
Sandy?
did. Yes, Spain
Some
is
sort of
getting hit.
catastrophic once in 1 million year. I mean, what are they going to say anymore, right? There is much scientific disagreement about the remote effects of Arctic sea ice loss. So far, many studies have focused on the long-term effects on a scale of centuries. Others have investigated the response to sea ice loss with modeling setups that artificially impose heat to melt the sea ice, potentially affecting the simulated response. Some studies have been changing Antarctic and Arctic sea ice cover at the same time, making it difficult to discern their individual contributions. In our study, we have developed a methodology to assess the impact of Arctic sea ice loss without adding any heat fluxes. And we focused on the impacts developing within a few decades, explained Ivana Kachamvik, an IS global researcher and lead author on the study. To reach these conclusions, the team used 3 models of varying complexity. In each of them, they ran 2 sets of simulations, one with the historical amount of sea ice in the Arctic and one with substantially decreased sea ice cover. The disappearance of sea ice changes the surface albedo, i.e., the reflectivity of the Arctic Ocean, but also removes the insulation between the atmosphere and the ocean surface and affects salinity profiles. These local changes, in turn, drive a variety of atmospheric and oceanic teleconnections that can propagate far from the Arctic. Quote, It should be made clear that the conclusions is not necessarily that it will rain less in California and more in the Western Mediterranean in the coming years, said Desislava Petrova, IS Global researcher and the last author on the study. In addition to the sea ice cover in the Arctic, there are many other factors responding to the greenhouse gas emissions and affecting the climate. Atmospheric and oceanic feedbacks and circulation changes, and Arctic sea ice loss, vegetation feedbacks, etc. In any case, understanding the influence of this phenomena separately will help us to refine global predictions. Despite all the different influences on our planet's climate system, it is interesting to note that the anomalies in the atmospheric circulation patterns of the last few decades show some striking similarities to the patterns simulated in our study, especially events such as the California drought 2012 to 2016, observed Chilanovic. So there you go. Everything is related, and the Arctic sea ice is the driver of climate in the Northern Hemisphere, especially.
At least we got this from Barcelona. You know, we're going to be getting all of our science from everywhere else, if we even have access. We don't even know if that's going to change.
It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. So, Sandy,
here we
what
are.
Have we got here?
Zach Labe is still at it.
Zach Labe.
These are the temperatures.
Yeah.
The 2 meter,
so
monthly
you can
2 meter.
See that it's a little bit jumpy. You see that red line. It looks like we were going pretty high, and then we kind of jumped back into the norm a little bit. But there was a time in February when it was, it was looking a little bit out of bounds. But, we'll have to see. There's not much, data for 2025 yet to compare it,
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
But let's see here. All right. What else is in this page? We have more on this page, Jennifer?
Yeah, there's a whole series.
Okay, let's go. I went to get it bigger, and then I don't want to lose it. Yeah, so that was the
you don't have to make it bigger. You can just keep it there.
Yeah, I think everybody can see.
It's too jumpy.
And this one is insane. Monthly Arctic temperature anomaly.
It's interesting. Boy. And it went up in February way out of bounds, and then it jumped down again. So it looks like February there was a lot of momentum, a lot of heat, so in the Arctic.
Yeah. Lots of it. And up and down. But you can't tell until many of the months, but here's the regional temperature anomalies. High Arctic, Atlantic Arctic, Western Siberia, Eastern Siberia, Pacific Arctic, and Greenland, which we're going to buy or take.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd live to see the day that our country is as screwed up as it is.
These are the 2 meter air temperature anomalies for the 6 regions using the ERA5 reanalysis. And the shading, that indicates that the maximum and minimum temperature anomalies for each month over the 1940 to 2024 period of record. So due to preliminary data from the ERA 5T for 2025, this graphic will be updated at a 1-month lag. Anomalies are calculated from a 1951 to 1980 climate baseline, updated through March 25, so you know what this means. The information that if they purge all of the climate data, the history, it can't happen. There has to be a court, a law, a judge, somebody that's going to stop this from happening. It's got to. There's got to be somebody. And so I want to see what organizations are now jumping in to try to stop this from happening. The data it's insane. But I mean, yes, people will be downloading the data, but this is a huge amount of data being kept on huge databases that unfortunately are in the wrong hands now in the United States government. And I certainly hope that people are that are in any kind of situation working for the NOAA have already made plans to try to get this stuff without getting in trouble, because it belongs to the federal government. It belongs to us, Jennifer, the taxpayers. It belongs to us, not them. So look at these. Look at this.
Yeah, and so the right-hand one with all the red, that's the anomaly map. And you can see like on either side of Greenland, but especially on the western side of Greenland, just going straight up between Greenland and Canada's very anomalously hot. Also on the northeastern side of Greenland, kind of going out into the ocean towards Scandinavia, that's super, super hot. So there's a lot of anomalously hot water. So this is primarily water anomalies. Greenland itself is a little bit hotter, but the thing that you see here is the ocean is hot in the upper reaches.
Jim has a really good video on his channel, which actually got the views it should have finally. Almost 2,000 people, thankfully. And he's got, if you go to Jim Science Talk with Jim Massa, you can catch his newest video, which goes through what else? Ocean heat. But it's really good. So please give our friend Jim a view. I hope most of you have already seen it. So here we go with the 2025 temperature anomalies by month for different Arctic destinations.
And interesting, all across the board, February is hot in the Arctic, right? And look what happened in February. There's a freaking boiling heat wave. And in February, it got like the highest color that it can get from an anomalous standpoint. And I don't know how many degrees that is. I can't really tell. But
no, it's 60. It's 60 to. Oh, that was the degree north. No, I can't tell. It doesn't actually have the actual temperature. Well, it just has a plot line, but that's really quite. Now, what happened to this one? I don't see it. It's not showing up. Something's not showing up. A couple of them aren't showing up.
No,
it's not. It's not found. Why? Why? Let's see what this. Let's see if we could. Okay, so it's now.
It's all right. It's just that he may have changed the file name or something.
Or it's now being housed at the Danish Meteorological Institute, because this is where the click was. It went. So these are the mean temperatures. Same thing, just not as colorful and wonderful as what he does. But this is where we'll go. This is where we'll go. Arctic temperatures. Here, let me go to their home and see what they are. The Danish Meteorological Institute. The Marine Services homepage aims to provide information about the state of the sea at the present and for the future. So this is probably where Jim will get most of his information now. And they do ocean weather maps, sea level and tides, waves, sea surface temperature, which we are always interested in. Ice charts. Let's see. Well, let's look at the Greenland ice charts and see what's going on there. I don't know if you can. It's all in date. Oh, wait, you can change it to English.
This is so weird. This is like this is Orwellian, Sandy.
Yeah.
Like they're taking the data. You know, when he said they're eating the cats.
Yes.
They're eating the dogs.
They're eating the data.
Eating the pets. They're eating the data
of the people that live here. Oh my God. We are, what are we, just say it together, WAS. We are so fucked. Oh, well, we are so fucked.
They're eating the data.
Yeah, they're eating the data. Now this one moves on
this
over.
This one has animations in it, so we can see it.
Okay, let's see. Oh yes, let's go from the back. Let me see if I can get back to the beginning. All right, here we go, Jen. Narrate.
Well,
or
we are seeing a combination. I'm gonna have to go over there and see it for myself because I can't read it. So it looks like we are seeing. No, I'm in the place now. So we're comparing the year 2012, which is white, the year 2007, which is pink. these are the animations. The blue one is 2020. So we're basically talking about 2007, 2012, 2020, and us. We are the yellow. And so it's basically we are worse than even 2012. And that was the lowest Arctic sea ice extent
Boof. It's
ever.
like,
Boof.
yeah, boof, here we go.
Yeah.
Kicking the can
I mean,
down
not
the
much
road.
compared. I mean, 2007 was a close second. 2020 was another, very close. These are the 3 closest years of low Arctic sea ice that they're showing, and then our yellow. So we'll have to see how our yellow really stacks out,
All right.
as the year goes.
This is the extent. And the extent is boom boom. Yeah. Not good.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, the crowd is not happy.
We're low. We're really low. We're a lot lower than the average of the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s. And 2025 is much lower. I mean, you can just see it is the trend line. The Arctic sea ice is going down. It's not going down as fast as everybody thought when they first started, really tracking this 10, 15 years ago. Everybody was like, oh, it's going to go away right away. Well, it didn't. It takes longer. There's momentum,
but it's shrinking. I mean, the extent of the ice is shrinking. It's shrinking. And more extent, and this is the current year Arctic sea ice.
Wow. Well, yeah.
2025 with the standard deviations, and then the median, which is the dark blue, and then the percentiles of the measurements of the ice, the current graphic in 2025 compared to climatology, and 2 standard deviations from the mean. So here we are, updated 411. Look at that. And here's more anomalies. I mean, Zach is continuing to do this, but I don't know for how long. I'm going to write to him.
We're lucky to have him.
Yeah, I want
nobody puts information together like Zach Labe. Man, he's good at visualization.
I think you and I should have him on the show together.
Oh, it would be lovely.
I'm going to write to him.
I wonder if he knows how much we worship him.
Well, he does. I tell him all the time on Blue Sky. He knows. I've told him. So let's hope that we can do that. So, yeah. All right. And we have more anomalies, which is the extent anomalies stretching from 79 to the present. That's a smaller one to see, but...
Interesting. Yeah, but you can see the trend. The trend is going down, down.
And here's the basin. They're beautiful graphics. The basin
gorgeous.
is completely covered with ice in the winter, but it's still a down, and you will see ice extend over the ocean basin in the Beaufort and the Chukchi, East Siberian, Laptev, and Central Arctic seas for 2025, the red line. So here's the winter is still, it's staying.
It's still frozen. Yeah.
It's still frozen. Yep. Now this is an interesting one.
It is.
This is the regional. So you can look at all the different ones.
So the Barents is really very dynamic. You can see the Barents is being affected, that being just slightly more south. The Bering Strait, we're in the lower edge of that. You can see that. Chukchi, it looks the same to me. I don't see much difference in the Chukchi. Greenland, it's kind of staying in trend. Kara, hard to say. Beaufort Sea looks the same. I think we'll see the difference more when it comes into the melting season, and then we'll really see it drop down faster.
Hopefully we'll be able to see it.
Oh, I hope we have the data.
I know.
I mean, and this is just unbelievable. Let's stick a knife in our eye.
Gosh, it's very painful.
I'm sorry to say it like that. But
it's very painful.
We've
been looking at this for 8 years together, looking at data, learning about the Arctic together, understanding everything that's happening up there. And basically, they know, these people in this administration knows, because they wouldn't want Greenland if it wasn't thawing and melting and all the things that are happening. But it's just extremely, but they want to take away all the data, but they want it. I just don't understand the thinking behind ignoramus morons. I don't. Now, Siberian Arctic. This is the daily along the
much different. I mean, it's frozen over. That just means it's frozen over still.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. So he's got a lot of stuff here,
He's got a lot.
and he's got even the last 5 days of extent changes for each marginal sea. He does a lot of
he's
work.
doing it for each one of those Arctic seas. That's
each
wonderful.
one. Look at
So
this.
good.
Look at this. The extent, the days in
Changing the Arctic
April.
sea ice since April 1st.
This is the cumulative change in the Arctic for extent. And he's doing a lot of extent, which is, how much territory it takes up. Once it keeps shrinking, that's you get the blue ocean event, but once it keeps shrinking in extent, that means it's smaller and smaller area of ice.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. The Arctic Daily. So everybody that really likes this stuff, oh my gosh, you can really, at least get it while you can, as Janice said.
Get it while you can, you know.
Get
OD
it
on the
while
data.
you can. All right. So Arctic sea ice annual max. Now look at this one. Latest daily sea ice extent for 2025. Now this is kind of wild. All the different years
This is
and all
like
the different
when
lines.
the annual max was each year.
Yep.
And we had our annual max right there at the tip of 2025, where it kind of jetted up there right towards the end of March.
I've got a good one from Tommyist. Sandy, their thought process only go as far as, what helps rich people the most? Yeah, right. You know what, Tommy? I think that gets the first flush of the show. Let's just flush all of those 1%, 2% son of a bitches like Howard Licknuts. Bye-bye. Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Flush them all down the drain. Yep.
Flush it down, baby.
Yeah, that's the first flush. Thanks, Tommyist. Okay, so we could just keep going and going on. Oh, let
He's
me
got
see.
a lot of them.
He's really worked on the extent.
No. Up.
Okay.
There. Integrated Arctic sea ice extent anomalies. We are the red. Do you see anything wrong with this? I mean, look at that trend.
Shrinking.
Holy moly. The anomalies are getting worse. That's what this means in English. If you want to reduce this graph to like 5 words, the anomalies are getting worse. Boom.
Boom. Boom. So here's all you can get all kinds of stuff from him and his related research. And he look at all of the different journal articles that people work together. See, now he was the principal on this one. Labe, Pings, all over the world, they work together. These principal investigators and the people that write with them, they all have their own piece of the data. They work together and they publish it through whatever university has either the grant, but they find the journal, they get it peer reviewed. It's a lot of work. I've been published, believe it or not, in the Journal of back in the 90s, the Journal of Health Promotion, twice, because back then I was before HR, I was also into health promotion, so it was interesting. But through the university, so I remember the process of publishing, although it was only twice for me, and I was working with two other PhDs. So I did a lot of the statistical stuff, and it was pretty interesting. We had a project called Heart Check, and we were assessing the health of organizations by the employees' self-reporting and a pre- and post-treatment, which was working out or implementing work-based health promotion programs. And it was all supposed to be to lower the costs for the company, but to help the employees. So it was really interesting. I wonder what would have happened to my life if I had stayed in that, but HR took over. Yeah. So we've got...
Here we are.
Climate.gov for as long as this lasts.
God, right? Get it while you can.
I mean, I feel like every single thing. Yeah,
This is
everything we're talking
what's
about.
being dismantled before your eyes.
And this is the National Snow and Ice Data Center that we're so worried about, that, this is
That's
like,
also
look
in
at this.
Colorado, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
That entire ice core store.
Yep.
It's in Colorado. What if they just like turn off the freezers and those
Okay.
thousands of
Well,
ice
I
cores?
know what I know is that they eliminated all of, they called it DEI, but affirmative action was what it was, because that's actually what a big part of my job was affirmative action, which everybody knows. But then they changed it to diversity, equity, and inclusion, so that at least in campuses, I trained it. I trained in different aspects of that. I trained faculty and staff in how to live with each other, work with each other, understand diversity was a beautiful thing, but not now. Yeah. There's none of it's left. And there were, I'd say, thousands upon thousands of people in the industry of affirmative action, DEI, have lost their jobs. There's nothing. So it is, I don't even know what any of my friends that used to be in that have done. So we don't know, but now they did get rid of all those programs, but they were still told in Boulder to work on their research. And I'm wondering if the research is going to be tailored to the Arctic for the military, to work with the military on all this, and to work with knowing what, about Greenland for the ice sheets and when we could get there to start growing and drilling and mining. Yeah.
It's so sad.
So it reached its seasonal maximum extent, which we just saw on March 22nd, 10 days later than the 1981-2010 average. Despite the late peak, it was the lowest maximum extent of the 47-year satellite era, which began in 1979. Now, that's another thing. Who owns the satellites? If the federal government destroys the satellites or ends the satellite programs through NASA and NOAA, who's going to come in with the satellites and privatize it all of it? Who?
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. The horrible thing himself.
Yeah, the Leon. So
Leon Usk?
Yeah.
Somebody named that?
Leon Tusk. So these are pretty much the same, but this picture, you can see Greenland. Greenland does not look as white in sea ice concentration at all. God. Woof. Woof. But the greening is not good, Jennifer, either. If you've been keeping up with any of the articles on CO2, and the greening of the world is not a positive, like these clueless morons at the Heartland Institute and the CO2 is good for you campaign. You know about that campaign? How they're selling T-shirts? Yeah, I did a little video on that. Not that anybody cares.
We're so hot, Sandy. We really are.
But yet I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do everything I possibly can locally. I'm educating people. I'm talking to people. I'm going to these things. I'm going to these protests when I am physically able to go to. Just don't bring a phone. That's all. Just don't bring your phone, because legally they can take your phone. You don't have to turn it on. You don't have to show it to them, but they can take your phone and try to look for things. And I'm not bringing my phone anywhere. I don't need it. I don't need anybody going through my phone. And even though I'm an old lady, they still, who knows, right? Doesn't matter. And I know I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm an older, white woman. So what are the odds? Unless they went through my stuff. And I'm not going to live super paranoid. I'm much more thinking about my sisters and brothers out there who are going to have problems, who are having problems, who have darker skin, who are in the LGBT community, who are in, I watched, do you know Leisha Miller? I think that's her name. She has a channel. She's an attorney, or she was. She did a video on ranking who's in trouble, who should leave, who should think. She has different rankings on things. And boy, she was even saying disabled people should think that they might have to leave the United States, because if it gets so bad, like Nazi Germany, they didn't want disabled people around. This is what, and she's legit. So her video is really good. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. She's legit as hell. She's not nobody. Even Jennifer, even Tom Hartman, the historian, Democrat, the talker. Well, he is talking about April 20th, the martial law day. And he's dead serious about what he's saying. This is a guy who's a historian who's written novels on so many things in history. And he is, for the first time, I can't believe that. I mean, it looks a little clickbaity on his thumbnails, but what he's saying is pretty goddamn scary. And I've never thought of him as a fearmonger at all. No. But,
jeez.
Yeah. So... this is, even though the surface ice extends in winter is declining more slowly than in summer, the winter ice is thinner and more fragile, just like we are. Although, maybe not thinner, but fragile. Thinner ice can could create both risks and opportunities, according to the National Snow and Ice Data Center scientists. On the positive side, thinner ice means easier movement through the Arctic by ships. Though thinner ice may more easily pile up onto ridges, which could impede some shipping activities. Let's hope it impedes all the fucking shipping activities. Wildlife benefits may include easier surfacing by bowhead whales and more sunlight for phytoplankton blooms. Downsides include more dangerous travel over the ice for local communities, and polar bears also rely on sea ice for hunting. So there's all kinds of stuff. The National Snow and Ice Data Center will go over there and just look at this really quickly, and they have their whole information. It's similar information, but it's out there for all of you, and I'll put all the links in. But everything is about extent right now. It's a big thing. It is. And then this is the lowest. So we are number one, right? The lowest.
Wow. Yay for us.
Yay for us. Yay for us. And then this was the this was what I wanted to show you. Was the vegetation the vegetation index, because also NOAA will show you that you can find all out what the world looks like in the vegetation index. It's a data set containing griddled daily normalized difference in the vegetation index derived from NOAA climate data. So how long are we going to have this? This will show us where the concentrations are higher of CO2, which is greening, which is not a good thing. So you see by the cities, I know it's very small, but you see where the big cities are, like in the East Coast of New York, and the greening is happening. So all this stuff is here. And this is just another page of all this amazing stuff, like the One Stop, a NOAA data search platform, weather, climate, satellites, fisheries, coasts, oceans. Jen, is there one you'd like to see?
No, you just pick. You drive.
I'm going to pick climate because that's the one they want to get rid of. That's the dirty word. And they're loading all these collections. So all these things, it was a plethora of amazement to look at all of the data, Pathfinder climate data. And this is the stuff that people rely on. It's just awful. Historic climate diaries and journals. How long do you think this stuff is going to last? Metadata. Yeah. This is
go away.
Yep.
It's so sad. And will people in the future even know what it used to be like? Because it's all going away.
I don't know. But look, you can't even, the themes now, I noticed when I went through this earlier, you can't even go through. You can't click on any of this to go. You can't look at hail. You can't look at atmospheric temperature, snow, weather events on any of these. Access. Some of the stuff is here. Let's see.
Gosh.
Okay, so there's still some things here in the history. All right, so I'm not going to get hysterical yet. Let's see the documentation. Data set landing page. That's what I want to see. What's available, and what data set identifiers. So there's an address if you want data set point of contact with people. Jason Cooper. These are very interesting people, but how long are they going to have their jobs? That's really, and let's see, National Centers for Environmental Information. How long, Jed?
It's going away. They're just you'll go there one day and the website will just spin and it won't even resolve. That's what happened to the usaid.gov.
Well, this is from April 10th. This one. The above average temperatures cover much of the globe. So they're still publishing right now. March highlights the temperatures above average over much of the globe, particularly in the Arctic, but much below average over central Canada and eastern Asia. Global sea ice extent, which is what we've spent half the show talking about, second lowest on record for March. It was the Arctic sea ice extent, second lowest on record. 8 named storms occurred across the globe in March, which was slightly above average. Let's look. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Oh, I don't think I can make this one bigger. There we go.
You won't be able to see it in the future. Gee, Sandy, not a lot of blue on that.
No, land and ocean temperature percentiles in March. It was above the 20th century average. So, record warmest. Look at the record warmest all over this. Record warmest everywhere. Everywhere records.
Land and sea.
And then the rest, whatever wasn't record, was much warmer and warmer. And all these people are trying to hide this information so people in the United States will not even be able to prepare for any of it. People like us know, but how are people going to prepare? Word of mouth.
I'm speechless.
Mm-hmm. And here's the temperature, the land and ocean temperature departure from average. So when you see the purple, that's a big departure. Snow cover, northern hemisphere snow cover extent in March was well below average. Sea ice, second smallest 47-year record. Tropical cyclones, 8 named storms occurred across the globe in March, which was slightly above the long-term average of 6. So there's a lot of good news in here. So honeys out there, we love you so much, but get it while you can. Get it while you can. So because it's here now. But
before the website site starts spinning and it doesn't go to anything.
And even what this National Centers for Environmental Information is really good. And they have so much stuff in Arctic, Antarctic, polar, ocean physics, ocean exploration, ocean climate, space weather, weather and climate models. And here's all the model products. Let's see if ocean models are still here. So there's still stuff here. This is the Naval Research Laboratory, Adaptive Ecosystem Climatology. And this integrates C2 Earth observation, satellite data, ocean model output to generate daily summaries of ocean climate conditions for the U.S. East and West Coast. And the Gulf of America. Oh, they capitulated. The Gulf, used to be the Gulf of Mexico, and the asshole changed it to the Gulf of America. He's disgusting. But I can't believe they did change it. They changed it all. Well, they had to. They're federal government. They had to. So there's still like aggregated data available, as you see in the cataloging. So all of you data nerds, if you want to run anything, you can still get it. And look, Void, are you still void is yin yang, void is yin yang. Monitoring and studying harmful algae. It's there. You need to get this before it goes. We're not going to do it, but we know he's an algae guy. So that's there. And I guess the last thing we were going to look at was the series. The Cooperative Institute for Research in Environmental Sciences. Do you have that pulled up to look at it?
I sure do.
All right, your turn. I've been talking enough.
Okay. So this is the Cooperative Institute for Research in Environmental Sciences at the University of Colorado in Boulder. We love Boulder.
Yes, we do.
At CERES, the Cooperative Institute for Research in Environmental Sciences, more than 900 people work to understand the dynamic Earth system, including people's relationship with the planet. An institute at the University of Colorado Boulder, we have partnered with the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, since 1967. Our areas of expertise include weather and climate, wildfire and water, changes at Earth's poles, air quality and atmospheric chemistry, water resources, solid Earth sciences, and more. Our researchers work at 10 CU Boulder departments and 8 NOAA laboratories and centers. Our mission: conduct innovative research that advances our understanding of the global, regional, and local environments and the human relationship with those environments for the benefit of society. Our vision: Ceres is an international leader in conducting cross-cutting environmental research of the highest quality while bridging fundamental science and service to society. We build leaders, scientists, communicators, and teams dedicated to developing sound and trusted information to address environmental challenges. We embrace a positive and inclusive culture, recognizing that Ceres thrives when our people do.
I wonder how long that's going to be able to stay up. They're going to say, "Oh, that's woke. That's woke." And so
It's so horrible.
they
I
do
just
have
can't.
a lot of
I can't
departments.
bear it. But this is a really nice website.
Yep.
Who we are, what we do, news and events, opportunities. Go work there while you can before
Yeah.
it goes.
And I have a little
I bet they're not hiring.
I have another little video that I didn't show. I'm going to show
Oh,
it before we
please.
go. Let's watch this
Yeah.
one.
The Arctic maximum was 14.33 million square kilometers. That is the lowest maximum we have in our records. That goes back to 1979. The Arctic maximum represents the end of the winter ice growth season. So the record low maximum that we see this year indicates a warming climate where the ice is not growing as much as we normally would see, and it continues the downward trend in the Arctic sea ice. The Antarctic sea ice reached an annual minimum extent of 1.98 million square kilometers. This was the second lowest extent in our satellite record. With the Arctic sea ice reaching its lowest maximum and the Antarctic reaching its second lowest minimum, the global sea ice extent reached a record low in our satellite record. The Arctic and Antarctic both being very low for their time of year is yet another indication of the long-term changes in climate that we're seeing globally, but are particularly showing up faster and earlier in the polar regions.
That's pretty cool from
Absolutely.
NASA. That's very, very, very cool. Yeah. So let's get back to our regular screen. And I had a couple of pictures also I was going to put up in the middle. The Arctic sea ice hits record low winter peak. Maybe I'll make them a little bit bigger. And then we could see these pictures because I'll put the link up to the artist. But they were nice. Arctic sea ice hits record low. Winter peak raising alarm over climate And no amount, this one I really loved. Let me unlock it, make it bigger. No amount of money, oil, or gold is worth more than bees, trees, or clean water. Isn't that beautiful? I know it's probably AI
That's
generated.
lovely.
I know it's AI generated from this person,
It's
but
beautiful.
I liked it
Beautiful.
anyway. And I know people hate AI, but you know what? Like everything else, everything's a fight. Everything's a fight. And so I'm going to show it anyway. The world has just experienced its hottest decade.
Oh, God.
Yep. So
Oh,
here we are in a world that just experienced its hottest decade. And now it is time to talk to our people out there, you beautiful, wonderful, amazing people in the chat. And first, I want to thank the super chats for the channel. And Nadia, Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Well, wait a minute. I got to make this bigger. So keeps happening with the stupid, I don't know why. I fixed it. Every time I'm going to have to write to Ecamm, I fix it, right? I fix it every single time. And then when the show comes on, it changes everything. So let's see if this is going to work. Okay. Nadia, $5. Law is dead. The Constitution is whatever 5 black-robed Klansmen and a literal handsmaid from one of the cults that inspired the dystopian novel say it is. I think you're right. Nadia left, She's not in the U.S. anymore. I'm so happy. And thank you, Dog Dude. Beautiful help for the channel. Nadia, quote, if that's what it was, I respect her decision and deem her the ultimate authority on the matter. That's about Deb. I'm not going to say, respect for the family, but we can all assume what we want. And Jackie, thank you for the little hippos character, which we can't see, but thank you so much. And so I've got comments from all of you. Let me see if these. I'm sorry about this. It's a quirk. It must be in this program. Alex, you're here. I saw you had a comment. Geez. Anthony will give you one. I hate that I live in the city because I cannot let the weeds grow too high or I get a citation, but the bees and squirrels and birds love it. That's tough for cities. Jennifer, do you have any kind of stuff like that where you live that they say, look at the bees
I don't.
are,
Yeah.
yep.
Oh, right there. Yeah, I've been watching the bees a lot. I do have a crabapple in bloom, and there are bees, but not like they have been in past years. It used to be when that snow crabapple would bloom in the spring, it would be clustered with bees, and now it's just sporadic, a few little bees.
Now what happened?
Something questionable, Sandy.
We've got a little bit of funk going on here. Let's see. Almost had a winter. Let me fix this. Almost had a winter here this year. I have no clue what's going on with some of this, but let's see. Okay. Almost had a winter here this year. Alan, you almost did in over there in New Jersey. Anybody got any questions for us, for Jennifer? Anybody got questions? Yep. All right, 17-month membership chat too. I'll check it out. Thank you, Nadia. Everybody's so wonderful. Everybody's just so wonderful. Yes. Anybody else have anything?
Frosty says since 1975 we have lost 75% of the insects.
Where is it?
Just right now.
Okay. Wow, Frosty. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow. We are in trouble, folks, but we have to live every day the best life we can live. And that's what I'm going to say. And like, no matter how awful we feel, we've built a little family here. We try. We try. We try. Oliver from South Carolina, right? or North Carolina. I get confused. Still seeing bees on the mountain, but we're above the spray. You were talking about that. I think he was talking about spraying for bugs. I hate that when they're spraying for insects. I can't, yeah, North Carolina, of course. I get mixed up between who lives in North and who lives in South. Wanda, I was wondering about the East Siberian sea shelf methane hydrates.
Well, I think that, with all the deposits that are up there, Wanda, and with the continuing warming of the East Siberian Sea, the Laptev Sea, the Kara Sea, all those very shallow seas that are up on the Russian side, big shelf that goes out. It's
Yep.
permafrost that's just submerged, and it is full of methane deposits when the Arctic sea ice melts, which it is melting, and it's showered with sun 23 hours a day. That methane is going to come out. I mean, it's really just a matter of time. Right now it's under compression, but there are a lot of streams of methane that are coming out. And as we know, methane is molecule for molecule, although short-lived, much more powerful than carbon dioxide. And if you have enough of that methane coming out for a long enough period of time, there's going to be at least a local warming, very strong. You would be able to see it on an anomaly map where the methane's all coming out because it warms the area instantly.
Well, Nadia's right. Are we at the Blue Ocean event yet with the new record? Well, that's
No.
I don't think so either. I don't think so.
No.
But we're
technically, Nadia, you have to be around 1 million square kilometers for a Blue Ocean event, technically. We are about 12. What are we at right now?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't have it in front of me, but Jennifer, next time you come back, we could do a show on methane. Margot, who used to do that wonderful methane show, I haven't seen her in a long time. I went to her channel. The last video was a year ago. Margot's Healing Corner she studied methane like no, I'll sound like the orange turd.
She did.
Like nobody else. She did. And I don't know if anybody knows about her or where she is. On the one channel, she's not there. She may have moved and I can't find her. I don't know. So if anybody knows, write to me. Absolutely. Because she really had the data. I mean, we didn't have to replicate what Margot did. We could send you to Margot's channel and then do the show after and say Margot spelled it all out, but all the data. She was really something else. And so I don't know where she is. All right. A Blue Ocean event would happen in September. Sure.
That's right.
Sure.
At the very lowest. And I don't think we've gotten anywhere near 1 million kilometers. Maybe Frosty, you can tell us how low we've gotten before you can take a look at those graphs.
And Frosty says permafrost is the cork in the bottle of methane. Yep, we know that. Jennifer and I have done a million permafrost shows. We sure have. Oh my gosh.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. By the way, Jen, the lunatics are sending icebreakers and cargo ships through the North Passage, which is releasing a lot of hydrates.
Oh my God, this world is so fucked.
Yeah, the lunatics are.
Oh my God.
The lunatics. Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
That Pink Floyd?
Yeah, the lunatics are in the
Dark Side of the Moon.
Yep. Poppy. Yep. Hello, Poppy. So we have had quite a show.
Yes, we have.
Hello, Trunkfish. Extreme should be replaced by loss of albedo since ice poor quality. Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah. And ancient viruses trapped in the permafrost. We've done shows on that too.
Yes, we have.
Oh, and by the way,
damn it, Sandy.
We've covered
everything we ever said is all coming true. That's the thing of it, and faster than expected.
Yeah. faster than previously expected. That's right. Yeah. Oh, Nadia, thank you so much. How much albedo loss is land, sea, snow, ice cover? Ooh. We don't have the answers to pull out, but if somebody does in the audience, please, I'll put it up. I'll definitely put it up. Yeah, Rachel Carlson, the clock strikes noon. I was just looking at her and talking about that. I think on my on a show, I was a guest on Nicole Sandler's show the other day, and a lot of it, yeah, Paul did. He coined it. I've got him with me next Friday night, Paul Beckwith. So save up your questions. Absolutely. All right. Well, guys, do we have anything more that we want to talk about? I showed the pictures. I think, Jennifer, you want to give us the wrapping?
Well, I mean, yeah, we've really covered a lot of things today, guys. We started out with like the disbanding of NOAA, which is basically like, the data is going away. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets, they're eating the data. And we're just going to be blind. Like, if there's no data, well, you have to get it from somewhere else. Like Sandy said, probably the European data banks or whatever.
And that's what we're going to set up.
This is just a control ploy, what they're doing, but we looked at Zach's, great graphs and took a look at a lot of events, how these things all interlock. So, community is key in these times of, mental stress and, system dismantling, which we are seeing happen before our very eyes. We are witness to this debacle, and it's happening on so many levels. So stay cool, because it's going to be a rough ride.
I have to show you this. Doge ate the data. Bad Doge. Bad dog E. Doggy ate the data. Bad dog. That was great. That was good. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, Jennifer will come back. We're planning. We have to do a State of the Planet, since the last one we did was in December, and it will be Antonio, Sandy, Nick, and Jen. We're going to do that State of the Planet, and it'll be the four of us, and because Jim does a separate show with me, and then he can do his whole encompassing ocean thing. But we will be doing that, since it is a lot different since December.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, a lot of things happen. So, woo! All right. And I will be here Sunday for my morning pajama show. Frankenwolf, I called it. I'll be talking about the Frankenwolf. Jennifer, that's another topic you and I went over. The Siberian, bringing back the what were they called? Not the elephants. The woolly mammoths, and the
woolly mammoths.
The insanity. Yeah, the insanity of that. No.
They cloned. They made a kind of wolf thing. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, that's what my show is on Sunday. Frankenwolf.
Oh yeah, the dire wolf is brought back.
But it's not really. Yeah, it's not really. No, it's really, well, it's not quite the DNA of what you think.
They split the DNA. They injected like Frankenwolf. Yeah. Okay, God got you.
All right, it's time to go. Come on, that's a thing. All right, Giant Curve wants us to do a show on Doomer accelerationism, and it's a thing. Maybe it is. As the planet gets hotter and as the climate changes drastically, maybe it is accelerating. I don't know if, this person loves to challenge me. It's okay. I can take it. Jen can take it. We are tough old broads there. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sandy.
Happy birthday. All right, everybody. Yeah, wait. I have one more. She said it. Wait. Nadia. Here it is. Christo-fascists are trying to accelerate Jesus' return. Yeah. By the way, Antonio's new channel is called the Temple Podcast, and he is examining historical religious information. And he's kind of come up with that maybe Jesus was gay. You should check out his channel. It's he's totally doing different stuff than you would have expected, but it's okay because that's what he's a historian. That's what he does. So it's the Temple Podcast. Very interesting and very different from anything that we would look at. All right. Is it, baby? I love you, Jennifer. I do. I love you all, guys. Love you all, guys. Peace out. We need peace. Peace in Gaza and peace in Ukraine, please. Don't forget, the letter hack is live right now.